The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show, a summer edition of The Square Ball. Dan's here with Chris and Rob. Michael's on holiday at the minute, isn't he? It's all right for some.
What a absolute shirker.
I know. Imagine taking time off. I definitely didn't do that for about 3 weeks.
I hope he's having a nice time in Penis Cola where he is in Spain anyway.
Oh, it's not the Albanian prison this time, is it?
No, 2 holidays in one summer. Somebody's doing rather well. Anyway, the show is brought to you probably by Levi Solicitors. I don't know if we're still running the sponsorship over the summer, but let's assume we are. Michael's not here to mangle it, so we can do Will's probate conveyancing. 10% discount on your legal fees on their full range of services, which you'll find at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. So we're just here just to wrap up what's happened, which is the end of the season is nearly here. We've only got a couple of European finals to wrap up, which is, I think for me, the Champions League is always the end of the season. We've seen the end of the Premier League. We saw the playoff final. Teehee.
It was quite funny.
Yeah. Who did you want to win it going into it? Did you mind?
I didn't massively care. I think either game next season would be fun and there'd be a bit of spite in it. And yeah, I was watching the second half and that was an absolutely brutal end to a playoff final. And for about 5 seconds, obviously we know what it's like to lose a playoff final. And for about 5 seconds, I thought about what those Sheffield United fans would have felt like. And I genuinely felt sick.
Yeah.
And then after those 5 seconds were over, I pissed myself laughing, quite frankly.
Yeah, I went through I ran a similar gamut of emotions. The sort of last year PTSD of going, oh, this is not fun. This is not fun. I don't like how any of this feels. And then remembered it's not us.
Yeah. It's so good. It wasn't even a defeat, though. It's that feeling of you're in London. You got to go home from London now, or you got to stay the night and get back the next morning.
Yeah.
What an odious experience.
Yeah, 'cause I watched it in the Broodnail and there was quite a few Sunderland fans, very few Sheffield United fans. And
I think there were very few Sheffield United fans in the stadium, by the way.
But the first half, I was like, this is classic Sunderland, fancy team all season and then just don't show up in the final. And by the end, I went to the bar and Nath, who runs the Broodnails there, and just said, haha, that was funny, wasn't it? And I was like, yeah.
I saw him the next day and he was still laughing.
I confidently predicted, at 1-0, I think I was like, lads, this is over. There's no way Sunderland are winning this. But it was just tongue-in-cheek. It was tongue-in-cheek because games can change, can't they? But I did not expect that one to change. Sheffield United looked so superior.
They didn't look like they were going to score Sunderland at all until they did twice.
I mean, if you're losing that playoff final, you're just never going to win a playoff final, are you? I mean, for their record in playoffs to be worse than ours, I didn't think that would be possible.
I was saying on one of the shows in the run-up to this, like statistically speaking, most teams will have a poor record in the playoffs just because 3 teams out of 4 lose every year. Mm-hmm. But they've taken it to a new level there of Sheffield United, way beyond what we have.
Is that the 10th?
I think it may even be 11th.
Jesus Christ.
Could be even 12th. I don't know.
I mean, that is where you'd just stop going, wouldn't you? I know you always think, well, you've got to go if it is the day. But after the 10th or 11th, I would never visit that stadium again.
How far ahead? Was it 14 points they finished clear of Sunderland in the end? 90 to 76?
Something like we finished 24 points clear of them. That's mad, isn't it?
Jesus. I was looking back through when we were doing the promotion special, which is going to print this Friday. But in that, we've got a big feature going through all 46 games, Leeds games this season. And I was looking back at that Sunderland game, which we won at Ellen Road in the last minute, and how big it felt and what a great night that was. What was all the fuss about? But then it was sort of overshadowed anyway, because a week later or whatever it was, we went to Bramall Lane and it was even more madness.
That was a great couple of weeks, wasn't it?
It was insane.
Was it the Sunderland game where I thought that was almost like our Pablo moment that we remember?
Yeah.
And we kind of doubted it because there was too much time to go from that point. Because there were nice moments later on in the season, right at the end of the run-in. But to me, that felt like the pivotal moment of the season, that those 2 games in quick succession.
Yeah, at that time.
An easy thing to say, I know. But
the Preston game probably feels like the pivotal moment in the season. Getting through that and seeing Plymouth beating Sheffield United. And actually, that 1-0 win at Middlesbrough in the midweek, it's almost been forgotten about in everything, because obviously there was the 6-0, the 4-0, but that was huge after 6 games, 1 win.
Well, I started tracking the table game week by game week, and I'd get screen grabs of the table after each round of fixtures, and I started on game week 33. It was that week when Sheffield United went to Luton on the Saturday and won 1-0, Preston 0, Burnley 0. that same day. That was a fairly ugly game for many reasons. But then we beat Sunderland on the Monday night. Yeah, and that left us on 72 points. Sheffield United on 70, Burnley on 65, and Sunderland on 62. So that opened it up to a 10-point gap. So it had the potential to go either way at that point. It could have been down to, what was that, 4 points? Am I right in thinking with the maths? So it was a fairly a crucial moment, that one, I thought.
Sunderland also lost their last 5 league games this season and won the playoffs.
You always want to be that team with momentum, don't you? Going into the top 6.
Lebris called it right, didn't he? Said it didn't matter, saving themselves for the playoffs. But to be fair, they were not really in front for much of that. The whole thing. I mean, did they win the first leg at Coventry?
Yeah,
they did. But then Coventry obviously scored up there. But yeah, so to win both the semi-final and the playoff final in the last minute, was it the last minute of extra time for both of them?
122. It was in the.
Oh no, it was in regular time, wasn't it, at Wembley?
Yeah.
But still, to win it in the last minute of both games, wow. What a feeling that must be.
Just what a hilarious end to the season as well, having Frank Lampard's heart broken in the semi-final and then Chris Wilder in the final.
So Frank Lampard he's found a new ceiling now. He's managing to take teams to 5th and losing the playoffs rather than 6th.
I'm just so reluctant to give him any credit. I'm sure he's done an all right job, but he can just piss off.
Matt Robbins had a good team there. He's just, picked them up from there, hasn't he? It's nothing to do with him.
One, I think, thing we did have riding on the outcome of the playoffs was, had Sheffield United gone up rather than Sunderland, we would have got more money from the parachute payment refunds that are due to the Premier League teams for next season. So there possibly was a business case for Sheffield United winning that over Sunderland, but also funny.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference? A couple of million?
I think it might be like even 7 or 8, somebody estimated. Which is,
we've got that falling out of our arse, haven't we now? It's fine.
We're richer than God.
Yeah, just down the back of the sofa.
So that's confirmed the Premier League lineup for next season. The madness, of course, speaking of comedy, Spurs finishing 17th, albeit 13 points clear of relegation, and Big Ange declaring it a great season because Spurs won the Europa League at the expense of Man United and therefore getting the Champions League despite finishing 17th. Funny old game, isn't it? Funny old game.
It is still a great season, though, because you won a trophy.
I'd take it hands down. If that was us next season, I'd be delighted.
Yeah, and you can tell that from around January, they've basically only concentrated on winning the Europa League, which they can do because the bottom 3 were so bad. But it's still a good season. It sounds so stupid to say it when you finish 17th with Spurs, but it is.
I think the Premier League should look at the state of that final and relegate both of those teams for just how horrible that game was. It was
ugly, wasn't it?
I only watched the first half because it was so bad. I saw Spurs go ahead, which was funny. And then I was like, I'm not subjecting myself to another 45 minutes of that. Although I was very pleased to see former Leeds hero get off the bench in Jed Spence. So, it was nice to see.
And I also very much enjoyed Harry Gray.
Of course, yes.
In the aftermath of that, congratulating Harry Maguire. Hope everyone's had a lovely Wednesday night. That's the sort of bloody-minded long memory that I think should be cherished because very much the hallmark of a Leeds fan.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that, him doing that in the playoff final last year.
No.
He's the most sickeningly confident 16-year-old I've ever seen, Harry Gray. Like, we used to think Charlie Cresswell was like way above his station when he was 18 or whatever, bossing Joffe Gellart around. But yeah, Harry Gray, for him to be taking all this in his stride and just be loving it so much. Did you see his goal for England the other night?
Yep.
That was hilarious as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, the goalkeeper.
Very good.
But did he basically just boot it out to him or kick it or throw it to him or whatever?
Completely fluffed his kick, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just, straight to Harry Gray's feet, and he just put it in the empty net. Very
nice. So what do you think of that bottom end of the Premier League? Obviously, you're going to be looking at the other 2 teams that have come up with us, Burnley and Sunderland, as hopefully occupying 2 of those relegation places. I mean, Sunderland have got you think we've got a gargantuan task on to try and bridge the gap, and we're going to throw everything at it. I mean, Sunderland, and I know the points gap doesn't actually translate into anything for next season. It's effectively meaningless, but you would think it's a reflection of the relative quality of our side versus theirs.
Yeah, there have been teams that have come up through the playoffs and stayed up. Didn't Swansea finish 6th whenever they came up the Premier League the first time and stayed up? So, and even Blackpool, who were rubbish, like they didn't go down until the last day of the season. But I suppose football's changed a fair bit since then. I honestly haven't really followed the Premier League that much this year, so I couldn't tell you who I think we're going to stay up ahead of.
I refused to acknowledge it and deleted Match of the Day from my Sky planner when we went down in a fit of peak, and then now now we're up, I will give no regard to the Championship next season.
Yeah, you mentioned the Championship lineup. And I was like, I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
No.
Could barely tell you who was in it when we were in it. So, yeah, not going to have much chance next season. But I think looking at the teams that we need to be better than next season, I think Sunderland, you'd be confident. Burnley, you'd be confident. Spurs, you'd be confident. Scum, you'd be confident. So, yeah, I see nothing to fear.
Be interesting to see where Wolves end up in this shake-up and West Ham. Because, Potter's not really pulled up any trees, has he, at West Ham? You could argue he hasn't got his own squad, but he doesn't seem to have made them sort of discernibly better. They've lost a lot of games.
I also have this weird thing about Nottingham Forest. That feels like it's all going to blow up.
Yeah. Yeah, because the owner, he's a bit unstable, isn't he? And you wonder, with them getting into Europe and having, and it's not a lucrative Europe that they've got into. They'll get money out of it, obviously, but Champions League is where the big bucks are. It's something like you get about 10 million for doing the Tin Pot competitions, don't you? Whereas it's about 80 million, I think, or something guaranteed for the Champions League. So there's a huge disparity. But they're going to have all those sort of Thursday night games, travelling here, there, and everywhere. Squad a bit stretched, maybe. Be interesting to see how they handle it. Yeah, I did wonder that as well.
Yeah, there's just something not quite right about that team and the owner. It feels very much one season wonder.
I've got a good friend who's a Wolves fan as well, and for about 3 years now, he's been desperate for them to get relegated. He's so bored of them just finishing 17th or 16th or whatever. They're really stuck in that Premier League, just churning out every season, sacking a manager, scraping to safety. Or maybe not this season, but you'd have had to really blow it to get relegated this year. But yeah, he'd be quite up for a season in the Championship. And I do have to keep reminding him, like, it's fine for one season to a push, but you can get stuck down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Cunha looks like he's going to Scum as well, which just feels like 2 goals and then sent on loan to Al Hilal in January.
Al Hilal. Oh dear. Yeah, but they never learned, do they, as well, chucking another 60 million at players? It's crazy. Man United tax.
And like that Delap at Ipswich, spending a load of money on him, aren't they? And I just think if you look at him as well, it's like, why would you go there if you're like supposed to be a promising young player? It's the last place you'd want to go.
Yeah, it was whenever Evan Ferguson broke through at Brighton and everyone was like, oh, he's going to go to Man United. It's like, I'm sure he could go to Man United, but his career would just, although it has kind of gone down the toilet a little bit, if he'd gone there, it just would have been, like, just look at Xerxes and all the talk about Gyökeres at Sporting. If he goes there, you just know what's going to happen.
Yeah, 8 goals.
Yep.
Misery. 8
goals, death threats on social media. Great.
Yeah. It's great what's happened to them, isn't it?
Absolutely hilarious. It's brilliant.
If ever there's a chance that we might stick 1 or even maybe 2 over them in the league, got to give ourselves a chance if they stick with Ruben Amorim, who's turned this football club around. By the way, Propaganda will be back next week for an end of season special, I should say, when Michael gets back off holiday.
It was desperate that we didn't beat them even once last time in the Premier League.
Yeah.
We got a draw, didn't we? A couple of draws.
Drew.
One under Bielsa and one under Scoops.
But they're in an enjoyable kind of, as you say, toxic sort of downward spiral at the minute. There's something just completely amiss there.
Yeah.
And like Ratcliffe coming in was supposed to be the guy who would put some order in place and sort everything out. And actually he's just added to the toxicity.
Yeah. He looked like someone's auntie who'd had a really rough time of it whenever he was on the podium at the Europa League final. And it's just like, I don't know if he's always looked like that, but there's just a real haunted look about him.
Yeah.
And he is basically just football's Mr. Burns.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure he cheered himself up. He's sacked more employees, hasn't he? So
Meanwhile, Casemiro still trousers 300 grand a week or whatever it is. It's wild, isn't it? Absolutely wild. And yet, I suppose elsewhere you're hoping that one of, although it's unlikely, but maybe one of somewhere in that Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford, Fulham, Palace group, somebody in there has a bit of a bad season, has a bit of an off-season, sacks a manager, doesn't get the replacement right or something like that, or recruits badly.
You look at Leicester. 2021 Leicester winning the the FA Cup after having won the league a few years previously, and now they've been relegated twice in 3 years. You know, you wouldn't have seen that coming in 2021.
I suppose that it's about the stability of the ownership then, isn't it? It's boardroom decisions.
Yeah.
And they seem to, those clubs that I mentioned seem to get it right more often than not. But yeah, mate, I don't know, is there you're hoping for maybe a little bit of a hangover for Crystal Palace next season, having got the FA Cup this season? They don't quite, just little things like that, just things that are suboptimal. So I don't know, it looks like a tough ask next season, but I think there's an opportunity there. I don't think we need to be terrified of it.
As Paul Reaney said, fear no one. There's a load of rubbish out there. Yeah, you've got to go into it thinking that. I think there's a lot of hype around the Premier League, and actually you look at this season, there's loads of really crap teams as well. And as we are proof of in the last few years, it only takes one bad window or one bad managerial appointment and you can completely spiral and get out of control. So I think a bit of stability at Leeds over the last 2 years generally should hopefully stand us in good stead.
Yeah, well, I think we go up a lot healthier this time than we did last time, which at the time it didn't feel like we weren't in a healthy place as such. But
what you mean structurally?
Structurally, and even in the playing squad, like that team were just pushed to its upper limits by an unbelievable coach. You just feel a little bit more confident that it can actually work long term this time.
Yeah, because stadium, slightly less individualistic recruitment, that kind of thing.
Yeah, just as long as they don't go and sign like Callum Wilson and who's the other one?
Danny Ings or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, old people.
Sean Longstaff. Just do something different.
But Longstaff will be a solid Premier League peak years signing. I think the other two are particularly the wrong side of 30 with a questionable injury record in the case of Callum Wilson. You want to avoid that, but I do think you probably do need some wiser heads in there with Premier League experience. But I guess we'll see. I mean, a lot of noise around Gus Hamer today in particular as we're recording this one. Would you? Are you bothered?
I don't know.
I think he's good.
He's a right lump, isn't he, whenever I've seen him play. I think we've got Joel Pirro to do that.
It's the sort of thing, though, where, like with Mark Viduka, if you took his shirt off and stood next to him, you go, fucking hell, mate, you're in great shape. So you say, it might just be a little barrel of a man, but I think he's a good footballer. I think he clearly suffered, didn't he, from that hamstring injury towards the back end of the season for Sheffield United, and they were trying to just keep him the right side of the line in terms of fitness. But he was puffing out of his arse after about an hour, 70 minutes. And, well, it cost them the playoff final, didn't it, when he went off?
Yeah. He's got a bit of the Ben Ramas about him. Like, he looks like he'd be good in the Premier League. He's probably just going to be just about all right.
Which, the pool that we're shopping in.
You take.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
It'll be interesting what they do, though. I mean, I'm not really mentally ready to think about the summer and transfers and all that just yet. But last time we went up and there was all that talk of we're going to get the best players from the Championship, and it was Eze and Ollie Watkins. And then we didn't bother with that, and we ended up signing a load of players from abroad who hadn't really played in the Premier League, which didn't exactly work out in the end.
You'd hope for something somewhere in the middle, maybe a couple of top-end Championship players, a couple of abroady ones, and a few existed in the Premier League. We'll see. I guess we can just see. But with reference to the Championship lineup for next season, I saw this. It was a graphic tweeted out by the Sky Bet Championship Twitter handle, which I don't follow. I want to just stress very clearly, don't follow. But it's turning into a very sort of homogenous division, which is what I always thought it was going like anyway. A load of kind of middling clubs. And when I say middling, I mean like in terms of like stadium capacity, that kind of thing. A lot of them are very much homogenous. Birmingham, Blackburn, Bristol City, Charlton, Coventry, Derby, Hull, Ipswich, Leicester, Middlesbrough, Millwall, Norwich, Oxford, Portsmouth, Preston, QPR, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, Southampton, Stoke, Swansea, Watford, West Brom, and then Wrexham coming in to spoil the party. So there's a lot of kind of 20-odd thousand capacity stadia there. A lot in the Midlands. A
lot of where Premier League dreams have gone to die about it as well. Like, of that list, nearly all of them have played in the modern Premier League, or at least in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and then you've got the likes of the clubs I was mentioning. People have got no right to be there, like Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford. Yeah. Get out.
You wonder
give us all your money. You've got every right to be there because you've been quite good, haven't you?
What Wrexham and Birmingham might do.
Yeah.
Because they'll probably look at what Ipswich did when they came up and think, well, Birmingham maybe more so than Wrexham. I think Wrexham probably need most of a new squad, don't they? They must fancy their chances.
Yeah, you'd hope that they would at least stay up and solidify mid-table. But I mean, equally, I'm not that arsed, as you say. I don't really care about the Championship, and I'm certainly not bothered about them. I'm only sort of half bothered about them because we've had Bryn Law in here, and he's a ref sometimes, so I'd keep an eye on him so we can talk about it when he comes in.
Sean Harvey in the Premier League.
Yeah, we don't need that.
We're going to Dublin. Finally being confirmed. Football's worst kept secret. It sounded like, and you can shed some light on this, Chris, with your interest in Italian football. We needed AC Milan to finish in the top 8 to have them enter in a particular round of the Italian Cup, which meant that they were available on August the 9th rather than playing like a preliminary round. Is that right?
Well, I think the preliminary round is on the weekend of August the 9th. So I'm not sure that actually would have been an issue. So the preliminary round, his teams in Serie B and Serie C, Milan's game was already defined, and I think that'll actually be the weekend after.
Right.
So I'm not sure if it was to do with that, or maybe they were just worried that they might go, well, maybe we don't fancy flying to Dublin to play a game 5 days before to play in Coppa Italia.
So maybe just a case of getting to the end of the season, seeing where they're at, and then confirming.
Yeah, that's there was a bit of confusion about it anyway. But because they finished 8th, their game was defined as they play Barry, who finished 9th. You play who finishes 9th in Serie B, and that's how it works. So
Right,
it's not like there's not an actual draw. It's predetermined. But now we're off to Dublin.
Right.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
You are going, aren't you?
Yeah, I got my tickets yesterday. We'll probably just travel down from Belfast. Cheaper flights. But yeah, it'll be fun. If you get a good day, a pre-game in Dublin is usually pretty fun.
That will be a great day. I am very jealous of people going, albeit when there was some rumours that it could be an 8 p.m. kickoff. I thought, whoa, that could be very lively, actually.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from in the end, but I remember hearing it as well. It's going, there's no way the guards would sign off on that. Like, they just go, yeah, no, just
grow up, lads.
Have it at 3 o'clock like normal people.
Yeah. You can go out drinking afterwards, but... Yeah.
Like, it's not Taylor Swift, it's football fans. Yeah. So you can't really have it in the evening.
Yeah. Michael, as we were saying, he's on holiday at the minute. He's on holiday again. Must be nice. In the run up to that game. So I don't think he's going to be going because he lands back off holiday, at 10:45 on the Friday night. I'm then away on holiday from I think it's like a Tuesday or Wednesday, but it's my son's birthday weekend that weekend. So politically at home, look, I'm flying to Dublin this weekend.
There are people doing the day trip. I've seen, so whenever I lived in Belfast and would come over to games, there was the odd time under Bielsa where I would do a day trip that was the 6:30 flight to Manchester from Belfast City, train to Leeds, go to the match, and then take the late flight back to Dublin or coach up the road. In hindsight, completely insane.
Yep.
Worth it though. I mean, it's basically a 24-hour day, but you're here.
It's a lot of effort to go to watch us lose against Wigan, isn't it?
I actually did, yeah. One of them was losing at home to Swansea whenever Steve Cooper masterminded a 1-0. I just remember being like, yeah, this is a bit much, isn't it?
Life choices.
Yeah.
And we've also got Villarreal in pre-season at Ellen Road, which in many ways mirrors the, who do we have last year? Was it Valencia? When Jorginho scored that amazing goal and it was a beautiful sunny day. And I thought, I can't wait to see him drive us to promotion this season. He looks to be in fine form.
You also thought Mateo Joseph was going to score 50 goals or whatever after that game. He had very high hopes.
40, Rob, just the 40.
40, sorry, yeah.
He looked very lively.
He did, yeah, he did.
Yeah, he looked very, very lively.
Do you know what reunion we're going to have with an ex-Leeds player against Villarreal?
Pedraza.
Yes, well done. Who I'm just looking at their Wikipedia now. According to this, he is their 6th captain. So they clearly hold him in high esteem there at Villarreal.
Wow.
He's their 6th choice captain?
Apparently so. They have 6 captains according to this.
Right.
What? Is that not a bit too many cooks, too many captains?
You'd have thought so, unless the other 5 have got horrendous injury records or something. But yeah.
Where did they finish in La Liga, or is it still going on?
They finished 8th.
Is that in European places or just outside?
I think it's just outside because I think, oh no, it might be. If depends on whether or not La Liga got the. Oh no, hold on, they didn't. They finished 5th.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've just put it into Google. They finished 5th apparently.
Yeah,
that's quite good then.
Which is they were a long way ahead of our old friend Victor Orta's Sevilla.
No longer Victor Orta Sevilla, by the sounds of it, because he's elsewhere. Oh yes, so they're Champions League then. So they've got 5 places in the Champions League. Is that right?
Oh, shit, they might be good then.
That will be a genuinely interesting game because Villarreal, it's a very small town, isn't it? Where they're from, it's like a small stadium.
It's a train stop basically. When I went to Castellón from Valencia, you basically just stop there on the tram. You can see the ground, and that's pretty much it.
Right.
Yeah, they've got quite an odd squad. Eric Bailly played for Man United. Pape Gueye was the one that was at Everton, and also Nicolas Pepe from Arsenal.
Oh wow,
£70 million playing on the right wing.
That's a real football manager save, that isn't it?
Yeah, and last year's pre-season friendly opponents, Valencia, finished 12th. I don't know, I was kind of got this attachment to Valencia because of Pablo, obviously, as one thing, but then there's the Champions League as well. When we played them, you kind of went, wow, they're so good. They're so good.
No fond memories of Rodrigo? Do you not hold him close to your heart?
And Rodrigo.
He was there too.
Rodrigo was all right. He was just the wrong fit for us, wasn't he?
It was fine, I guess.
Just the wrong fit. With hindsight, should have got Ollie Watkins instead, as he seemed to be nearly in the building. But, what can you do?
Does anyone remember our last friendly against Villarreal?
Is that on the Bielsa as well?
Yeah, played at York.
Oh, right.
I think it was like a Friday night or something.
Did we lose? We were always terrible in pre-season under Bielsa, weren't we?
Drew 2 each. I think it was around the same time that we got absolutely thumped by Ajax in the Netherlands, and was like, oh, this might be a long season ahead here.
Did we get pumped by the guy, what's his name, the manager who was then linked to, because he got sacked from Ajax, then was linked to us, and we drove him out of town because we're all
Schreider.
That's the guy.
Alf Schreider. I think his brother Dick is at Castillon, or was involved there somehow. But yeah, Alf Schreider, who was in Ellen Road, wasn't he, for a game? And then it seemed to be I remember I'd been to the pub after a game, sort of missed all this, but there'd been a Twitter storm saying, are we really getting this guy? And by all accounts, they'd sent him on a plane back to the Netherlands by that point.
It was the scum game that Scubala was manager for, where we lost 2-0 at home after playing them in midweek before that. That's the one that he was at, and he was definitely there. I think they had him sort of walking along the front of the West Stand at some point.
They did. I'm fairly sure it might have even been the lads from BBC Radio Leeds who spotted him and kind of went, that's Schreider. And the club went, no, it's not. It's just a bald man. No, it really is. I recognise him. Look, there's a photo of him. Yeah. Nah.
I remember
him. He's a tourist.
I remember getting the wrong end of the stick and thinking that we were about to hire Bernd Schuster, who was probably about 75.
Well, I don't know about you, but it still feels awfully quiet. I get the sense that you're both enjoying the calm before the transfer storm that's about to embark the football world, because the transfer window opens, or the first one, little mini window opens on June the 1st. So it's only a couple of days away.
Yeah.
And I'm still enjoying. I don't have much of the promotion feeling left. But my wife did remark to me yesterday, she goes, I've been so much happier since Leeds went up. It's like, I know. The stress is all gone.
It does help, doesn't it?
So I've become a better person, I think, since we went up. But I'm not still in that kind of giddy bubble anymore.
Yeah.
But where are you?
I'm not sure about Rob, but I've been combing through the news for the Daily Email, adamant not putting any transfer stories in. But Jesus, it takes some amount of time to sift through all the shite.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
This summer very quickly gets tedious with all that stuff, so you're just better off ignoring it and waiting for the club to announce who is through the door. But in the meantime, the promotion special is being printed on Friday, so get that ordered. If you have pre-ordered it, it'll be getting posted out not long after that, and you can relive it all again and feel nice and warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, so thousands of them. It's going to be a limited run. I don't know if we know exactly what size the run's going to be yet, but it will be a limited number. And what tends to happen is people will see them arriving and stick them on social media, and somebody goes, oh, I want one of those. So make sure you get one now, so we can make sure that the print run is big enough for you. Because when we went up under Bielsa, oh God, how many of these should we make? Ended up printing 10,000 of them. Yeah. It was like, should we do 5,000? And we did 5,000. It was like, this is nowhere near enough. So thank you. If you want to get one, it's available at thesquareball.net, along with all the promotion t-shirts, the merch and stuff on there. Healthy, none of which we are wearing at the minute.
Yeah.
But you can get this lovely Japanese themed t-shirt that I'm wearing if you're on the video version as well. All that's at thesquareball.net. We'll be back with another update next week. We'll get Michael on the case with end of season propaganda, because there's plenty of misery, I think, to be farmed from across the football fan channels. And in the meantime, enjoy the summer. Are we allowed to enjoy it now? Just sort of sit and enjoy things.
Yeah, go out in the sun.
Yeah. Oh, it's been pissing it down at least for a couple of days. Go out in the rain. Feel the rain on your feel the rain on your skin. See you later.
The Square Ball Podcast.